Hi, you delicious people. I'm here today to review Fit for TV, the reality of The Biggest Loser. I scoff at the word reality immediately just because reality TV shows aren't really real. There's a lot of fabrication, there is a lot of falsities when it comes to reality TV. If you were to go on and you were to sift through enough interviews, you were to go on and find the real truth about reality shows, about how if you look at American Idol, the winner is to be chosen before the show even starts. Or you go into having Miz do an interview about Miz and Mrs. about how a lot of the travel that they have them do on that show is all fabricated. It's not anything that this person would go on and do on their normal day to day life. And so and so on and so forth. There's a lot of fabrication going on in reality shows, unbelievable amounts. Um, so I had gone on and I'd watched a reality show called The Biggest Loser. And at some points, I watched this because I personally liked fitness. And when I was to go on and further see stuff that came along around that time, because this show was so booming and big and what have you, I would go on to see uh, stuff like Celebrity Fit Club, or I'd go on and also see that one show. I don't know what was called. I probably should have looked into this before, but I didn't think about it. There's the one show where there's a group of people that are just walking off to a side of a road, and like that's all they're doing. They're just huffing it through this just long stretch of journey. And I only remember this show because there was a wrestler that was on that show, and it was WWE's Rosie, and he was on that show. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I know that wrestler. Yeah, I know that guy. Um, and it was well after his wrestling career was over, and I was like, all right, like I can freaking catch up on and see where this guy went. And sadly enough, he's now passed away, but still, um, I was like, cool, he's on this show. And like at some point he ended up getting eliminated on the show because I think he had an injury. He had a leg injury of some kind. It's very long ago since I watched this show. But and it was also a show where I think they just eliminated people anyways. So like they eliminated him because he's injured anyway. So like they had to just like, well, hey, yeah, you gotta go because you're injured. Cause yeah, like that's how hard their journey was. That a lot of people just got hurt along the way. Uh, but anyways, because there's a lot of in walking. Anyways, but coming back onto this, so the Biggest Loser was a show where uh I liked it at first because it had, I think, good moral compass people that were all trying to do the right thing by changing their life and wanting to like find uh, a place where they can go on and be able to find the tools to be able to uh, for the rest of their lives be able to like, okay, I, based on all the knowledge and all these experiences that I've had, now I can go on and take all this stuff and definitively uh like either carry this on to the rest of my life and maintain my weight or whatever. Um, anything in between. But so I go on and watch this show, and I didn't like the temptation things. I also didn't like the immunity crap that they did on the show either. When they put in the whole immunity thing, like I would see people go onto the scale and they would have a whole zero weight that they lost. And I hated that because immediately we would just go on to have whoever the host was, because there's multiple hosts in this show. The host would go on and turn to the trainer and be like, "Hey, how do you feel about uh, this contestant who didn't even bother to lose a single pound this week?" And the trainer would just be like, "Well, obviously, the contestant is playing the game, and so they obviously didn't try to lose any weight because they know they were immune. So what are we doing the show for? Why do you have immunity, you stupid show?" Like, I get it. It was to have something to have the challenge for, but immunity should not have been that. Like, the challenge should have been like, hey, you're gonna get a call from your family. You're gonna get a like, not like the stupid temptation crap was. Like, I hated that. I was like, okay, hey, yeah, guys, suck down a a, a candy or a junk or whatever, so that way you can speak to your family because you miss them. Garbage. So as well as also just Bob upset about that anyways. It's like, yeah, the temptation, that whole room of crap, or you would have that whole shrine of crap that I was like, God, that is so just disgusting to me. Um, but anyways, so we would go into a thing like this, and we would see that these people were working out for 8 hours a day, and I'm like, well, in my own personal experience, like, I've worked out for an hour and a half, and I've also worked out for multiple hours in one singular day. So I could probably just really ballparkingly state that you can go on and probably work an hour and a half of cardio a day, or you can do muscle confusion and both uh, work out uh, or lift weights slash um, do cardio and probably lose about the same exact amount of pounds, regardless of how much time consuming you take it into, because of how much actual body weight that you actually have, of what you actually are to height and weigh and what have you. But anyways, so because I've gone on in multiple hours, worked out, and lost the same exact amount of weight as I did an hour and a half. So I didn't get the whole 8 hour thing of working out. When I first saw it on the show, I'm like, man, there's no way that I can lose any weight then. If these people are going on and losing 4 pounds by working 8 hours a day, yeah, like, that kind of messes with your brain. It really does, the whole math of it all. Um, but also, these people are going on, and every single day they're basically running a marathon every single day that they're doing this show. So I was like, man, yeah, that has got to be taxing at a certain point, as well as also every single day they're pushing these people even harder, because it's all about working harder than last time because you have to. So that way you'll burn more fat. Uh, Plus, also, if you do the exact same exercises over and over and over again, like, at some point, like, people are going to just start plateauing, because you need to have more muscle confusion and what have you. But anyways, so, and I would like for any contestants to go on and really give the real nitty gritty behind the scenes of this show, because I think it would really help, to much more so have that. While I was watching this show, I really wanted a fitness show, but not a losing weight thing. I wanted a more focus on building muscle shows. I don't think there was any much of that at that time. But I think now you have like YouTube, and you have like a whole uh, fitness uh, influencing thing, and whatever all that is on YouTube. And like, everybody has their own way of approaching things. Like, we have obstacle course YouTubing channels and what have you, and all of that stuff. We have shows being built off of YouTube and whatever that are all to be fitness and whatever the heck they are. Um, I would honestly love to see a fitness show that goes from like ground zero and then makes it to where it builds to the point where people are to almost get to almost world's strongest man level of being able to lift heavy, absurd things. Um, just to really show how you can take a normal day to day person and build that up to be that kind uh, of like journey. But anyways, we probably end up seeing that on YouTube somewhere. But so within my eventual disgust of this show, where I would start to see more gameplay going on than actual morally compass. Like that's where I started to jump off of The Biggest Loser. I started to have a distaste of this show by all the gameplay tactic crap that was going on, and I really was to like certain contestants, but then again, I was just like, yeah, I just can't continue watching a show like this. And honestly, if I probably go back to it now, I would probably be a lot more disgusted by the show than I would anything else. I feel, um, but it, like also that stupid earthquake thing that was brought to light to me. I didn't even think about it. Because I didn't realize how much the camera would shake. Um, but that seems weird. Anyways, so let's talk about these 3 episodes. So these 3 episodes go on to first off re-explain the show to you as if you've never heard of it in your life, because they assume that you randomly clicked this on Netflix, like, hey, what the heck is this? And then you're like, oh yeah, I watched that Biggest Loser show and blah 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 blah. Yeah, um, or not. But anyways, so the first episode re-explains the show to you, ends up bringing some executive producers to go on and talk about how like yeah, like the main character is the scale and so on and so yeah, like they go on and they state all of that. Uh they bring in a comedian and then they bring in an actress and I think this actress had gone on to do some soaps. Allison, the later one. Um, I had no qualms about who was the host of the show. To me, I was just like the person was to go on and be a cheerleading character, regardless of realistically like what she's to bring to. But I yeah I like certain people just had their roles. Let's just say. So we go on to have them like describe again to us what was this show, and then they go on and they give you a clickbaiting reason to watch the rest of the episodes, because really this 3 episode thing starts to get further and further just to kind of bring back in some stuff, or to just kind of realize how much content that this show doesn't really have much to talk about uh, besides like throughout the series some of any kind of controversial thing that they can go on and find, like hey, Bob blew up with one of the contestants, and how does Joel and Bob feel about one another? Let's bring that up. Yeah, that's all they had. Like stuff like that. Um, but also, like this first episode brings up the fact that one of the contestants, who was Tracy, she almost dies on the goddamn show. as well as also she talks about the aftermath of her leaving the show, and I was like, man, that sucks. I remember Tracy being on the show, especially when that mile happened. I remember that because I remember uh, Danny, who I believe is the other guy that was on her season, and I remember him. I remember him being on the show, and I'm trying to be vague here to try to not spoil the either the Biggest Loser or this documentary thing. Um, but yeah, so yeah, Tracy almost dies in the show. She talks about it. She talks about what happened after the show. She talks about how she was to go on and to hope that her losing weight would keep her marriage together. Yeah, that was sad. It was just very heartbreaking stuff. We also had certain characters, certain contestants, certain people on this show that were to go on and talk about how like losing weight was so that way they can get pregnant or get married. And yeah, that could go on and definitely uh, be the thing that could be life changing for any of these people. And they talk about that on the show, and they talk about how they did have children or that they went through their lives kind of doing what they did, um, probably either after the show or during the show. Um, and so on and so yeah. Yeah, like Susan or Suzanne. I'm not quite sure exactly every bit of names of. I'm not good with names. Um, I probably will go on and go through this documentary and probably not remember anyone's names either. But the one girl who is a police officer, she goes on and talks about how like specifically she was singled out, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, like um looking at her like audition tapes that they like and everyone's audition tapes that they kind of put on there, um like it was just an interesting thing for them to go on and show all those to see what everyone was trying to do to get on the show, um and like how Danny was to talk about how he tried to do so many audition tapes for this, and like you would also probably think about how many probably people wanted to so badly be on the show that they would gain a lot more weight than they already had to be better candidates for the show. And we found out one of them actually did that so that way they can be on the show. I was like, wow, okay. Uh, but so, anyways, uh, I'm getting too far into the weeds here. Let's pull back. So in the second episode, we have Dr. H, who's Robert. I know I was probably going to butcher his last name, plus I don't have his last name right in front of me, because I will have that in a little bit here when we get to actual, hopefully, breakdown, the spoilers, and what have you. The second episode ends up getting into the doctor of the show, which I remember him being on the show. Like, I remember him, like, going on. He would tell people all of the things that they are to have diabetes and this and that, and he would like slap papers in front of them and tell them like, well, obviously because of your size, this is all the things you're having problems with, and then he would go on and turn around when they had lost so much weight on the show. He would go on and tell them like, hey, yeah, you no longer need your sleep apnea, you no longer have diabetes, you no longer have this or that because of how much weight they had lost on the show. And also how this doctor had gone on to state how much weight that these people would actually uh, be logically be able to lose weight on the show, but if you brought exercise into the show, that would be kind of the X factor of the show. Uh, the doctor would go on and state how he kind of conflict with people of the show. He would find out like certain challenges that were very risky that he would have wanted to be on site to make sure the safety of all of these contestants because he really gave a if one thing is to come out of this entire documentary, it's to be that effing guy. Man, like how Robert was to go on and at some point get so emotional for one of the contestants, because he was looking at this contestant as like one of his children, like a person that he's known for a very long time, even probably after the show was done and over with. And I am just be like, man, like this guy really cared, as well as also like them going on and showcasing that he was to put together and been a specific person from that movie Any Given Sunday, and how he had also been involved in the OJ trial and so on and so forth, and was with the Rams, and they go on to that whole backstory of all of that. So in the second episode, they focus more on the doctor of the show, which man, that was good. And then they continue the story with Tracy and him, and like trying to make sure that she was the healthiest that she could after getting like rhabdo. They say the whole, but I abbreviate it to rhabdo. um I know someone who had also gotten rhabdo. His name is Larry Wheels. So you can get rhabdo like at any point of fitness. Uh so yeah, so uh as well as also Larry Wheels goes on and explains what he went through that. Um, but yeah, like Tracy didn't go on need to explain, but I'm sure she went through a lot. Um, but she was so driven in the show. Uh, yeah, so and it was so the way that they have her story just trickled in throughout this, like wow, uh, that was just, you never know about these contestants until you watch a thing like this. And I wish there was a lot more Biggest Loser contestants who openly went on YouTube things and talked about this show. There needs to be that. Every one of these people who did it, they need to have their own YouTube thing fully discussed. Is if there is, then I need to see that. Because in my opinion, like there should be people talking about the show somewhere out there, cause you know what, people would effing watch. So more so than just this documentary that I'm sure they had to probably figure out legal ways of getting around certain things and contemplating whether or not to ask certain questions because they could get sued, uh, as well as it seems someone else had that problem. So we also have within kind of sprinkled within these episodes, uh, we have other contestants who had gone on to like uh, Jolene or Jolene. Uh, we have her going on and talking about how she went to the news and spoke out about this. Uh, I was to go on and be just kind of rather interested in how at some point she had bickered with Bob, and Bob was just kind of telling her just to do it. It's like, yeah, like for any trainer, like all these people are just focusing on just like pushing these people to their absolute max. Pushed them the same amount of yesterday. Now they have to push them a little bit more and then a little bit more up until like, yeah, like uh Jolene says that she's like covered in bruises, and yeah, because we just have to have these people continue to be pushed, regardless if it makes sense or not, regardless if these people are injured. Just keep pushing them because someone needs to win by the end of all this. And Jillian is turning to her winning contestants and says, "Hey, you just made me $1 million," and it's like, yeah, of course. So uh, by like the later parts of this, Bob comes in, and for those of you that do not know, because I knew, I found out about it. I'm like, oh man, yeah, like I watched that show, and yeah, I found out Bob had a heart attack, and Bob goes into it and he talks about it. He talks about his struggles and all he went through and how he had to like relearn things, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, like I had heard bits and pieces about it, but not the full scale story like how they go into here. And I was like, wow, like uh that was an incredible story that I didn't know every bit of detail of. And then also, Bob was to supposedly uh, hear from some folks from the show, but not everybody, it seemed. Yeah, they go into that. Wink, wink, not judge. So, uh, by the later half of this, they also have to bring in like the sponsor crap that ends up being a part of the show. I always hated them having to somehow bring in the gum thing. That got really annoying. They bring in that like Biggest Loser had a video game and had just subways and sponsor spots, and uh, I don't think I had the Biggest Loser game. I went in to get like the UFC trainer Connect game. That's what I got. I don't think I ever got the Biggest Loser thing. I may have to look into it and see if I got that, but I got the UFC trainer thing, so I thought that was good enough. I think I had to choose between the two of them, and I think I chose the UFC trainer thing for the Connect, and that's what I did. And that's where I was to go on and kind of see the flaw of something like that also. Because USC trainer thing, like you can go on and have like the upper body stuff, but if you do anything else, yeah, that's not gonna work out. Just based on the like sometimes like the thing would want you to lay down, and it's like the sensor wouldn't pick you up, so you're basically effed. To where it would stop the game and you're like, what is the point of this then? This made no sense to me. But anyways, so we go on into figuring out a way to kind of like wrap this up so we can go into spoilers and break every bit of this all down, even though I've kind of talked way too much about it anyways. I'm gonna go way too much of the detail. So I don't know if I said this already, but I'll say it again. The executive producer, because he says by the tail end of this that he didn't want a grand prize of this, and I think that makes a lot of sense because you're giving people life-changing amount of tools and having them go into a gym that has an endless supply of exercise equipment and saying like, "Have at it," and like change your life here to go back to your normal day to day and take things that you got from here and use them. And I guess people just didn't have the time or just decided not to. But regardless, uh, this is like the thing that I didn't like how the first episode states that being a part of the show is like winning the lottery. Does not make sense to me, in my opinion, uh, because I could see uh, that you could probably take that you've been on the show and be a fitness influencer, or you could have countless people going on and relate to your story you could get some kind of following, Instagram, something. I don't know out of that. But there is probably not to be people that seek that out. Um, there were people that I guess were actors. That it's not like they got their career boosted out of it. No. Um, but if anything, yeah, uh, but going into this and saying that you won the lottery, yeah, you could probably go on and say that, um, like going in and getting the tools to know how to reverse uh and change your lights a little bit. Yeah, it's just I don't get the lottery part. I just don't. In my opinion, I'm like, you don't need this show to lose weight. You don't. I was over 300 pounds. Now I'm at roughly somewhere around 220, 225, depending on how the wind blows. And like, I have lost a good chunk of size, and I will probably end up displaying that on the thumbnail to show that I am to have been a person possibly in these people's shoes, but not exactly, because I had lost hundreds of pounds, but still. Um, and I won't because heaven forbid now, like I have to really weigh what I eat or how much I exercise because I eventually could get just sick on a day um, from overexertions and what have you, which is just very weird. But it's kind of whatever I deal with on that day, where it's like, yeah, I have to eat um, probably definitely more food than I have been eating, but I just like uh, I if I have affordability to be able to do so, I would. But also, um, I want more of the right foods. Anyways, so protein chips. Yeah, I love protein chips. Haven't been getting those lately, but they're expensive. Uh, moving on. So almost tangenting off to just be like, hey, let's get into full on spoilers. It's going to break down because there's not much else for me to go on and talk about the show. Uh, this was so enjoyable. I liked it. I hope people will go on to Netflix and check this documentary out. If you are to be fans of the show, let me know in the comments below because maybe that'll get me a kick in the butt to just be like, hey, maybe I should watch The Biggest Loser again and just kind of go through the episodes and tell you how I feel and probably my disgust and distaste of this show. Not because of the contestants or the uh the this or that, but like probably just because of mainly the gameplay or the temptation stuff or just some of the goofy cringe crap that probably goes into the show. Like there's one point where they go on and they do stupid crap like having to make a song about them being overweight, and I was like, this makes no goddamn sense in the world of it not being cringe. And yeah, watching it back looks effing cringe. But I don't know, maybe people were to go on and look back at that one show and be the one that it stuck out to them. Um, but anyways, let's go into spoilers. Let's go into full on breakdown of any little detail that I hadn't gone on and spoiled all about. So that way you can go on and get out of here and get this uploaded as a review for today. Let me know in the comments below what is be your favorite Biggest Loser or anything. If you liked a certain season, a certain contestant, a certain whatever. Because yeah, like if it seems that people really did like the Biggest Loser show, then I will probably go on and feel that I should probably check it out. Like I don't know if Biggest Loser is at all any kind of popularity thing on YouTube. I could not have had one thing that could have somehow connected to that besides this. So And I like fitness shows, I like fitness movies, I like fitness things, but like when I go into those, a lot of times people don't give a shit about them, sadly. Um, like I would love to just do all kinds of just fitness movies and fitness shows. Um, like the movies that have all the fitness montages in them and what have you, to maybe just rank them and what, but like yeah, um, but that's just not how it really works in uh, in what people actually care about. Uh, like I would like to go on and like review movies like Pain and Gain and whatever, because that focuses on fitness and stuff like that. But that movie is just not really that popular anymore, um, and I wouldn't blame people for not having it not be popular because it sucks. But anyways, let's go on. Let's get into full on spoilers. Let's do a breakdown of these episodes because it is spoiler time. Spoiler time is about that I'm going to spoil these episodes. Let me know in the comments below anything that you would like to just blabber on about. Besides maybe even Biggest Loser, reality shows in general. Maybe you like a reality show you want to let me know about. Maybe you are to go on and like Celebrity Fit Club. Maybe you like, I don't know, any other fitness shows that are reality based, um, because they just started to just not like reality shows at a certain point. Uh, moving on, it's about that time. Just get out my notes of cast list because I didn't remember who most of these people's names were, um, or to go on and get out a little bit of notes here and there of stuff that was to transpire within this. But a lot of it is probably not going to be as in detail because 2 out of the 3 of these episodes were to not have um, the usual way I go about doing things. So I'm just going to have to, in a very generic way, have to talk about these 3 episodes. So, with that said, let's go on and let's pause here. Let's whip this out. All right, so spoilers, everybody. So, I think the very beginning of this, I think is where we get the flashy part, where Mendoza's audition, where she's in this coat and she wants to be on The Biggest Loser, so she whips off the coat. She's in this bikini and she's in a public area, and yeah. So like I think this is how they start the show off, the show off, and I'm like, okay, that's strange. Um, but anyways, uh, this first episode is them focusing on how the show is like winning the lottery, and we have certain contestants like Tracy that goes on and states that, and how the show is to go on, and if you win the show, you'll get $250,000. So the executive producer, uh, who is to go on to be David Groom here. David goes on and he states how uh, some of these people may go on and die before getting on a show like this. And like, well, yeah, like they're dying because they're becoming fatter, so that way they can become a much more enticing contestant to be on your goddamn show. So like that's probably why they're dying off because you're not picking them to be on your show. As well as also like just think about like there is the whole like Bob talking about how like this country was dealing with obesity, and so yeah, so like obesity was kicking their butt up until a point like a show came out like this that was focusing on fitness, and then a lot of people were trying to like, hey, if I could see a person on TV do this, I could do this too. So they go on and they talk about the people who were to go on and do really well on the show. Like Bob mentions how Rachel had kind of lost so much weight and how they were in awe about her. Not in a good way, in a very bad. Like, man, this person is too thin. Like, but yeah, but like when you think about it, yeah, like these people were having such much body transformations going on into this, and plus they wanted to win the show that badly that they were pushing themselves to points of almost unhealthiness just so that way they could win. Uh, and yeah, like that's where Bob is kind of later talking to Larry King Live and saying like, yeah, like the show's going away. Yeah, no, the show's going away because yeah, it just like you're going on and having people like who came into your show unhealthy leaving unhealthy. So what kind of message are you sending to people that are going to go on your show? um like either way, yeah, you're ruining these people for life. uh so but yeah, but Danny is to go on and talk about how his son didn't even recognize him uh, because of how drastically different his weight loss had gone on to be, um, and how he goes on to won his season. I saw that season. I was like, yeah, freaking like if anything, I think when I saw Danny throughout the show, like he always had this like soul patch on the show, and like that was like the definitive thing of just him that I just he stuck out to me. um as well as also I think uh like from time to time I would just bizarre I even now like I have one kind of growing now, you can't really see because of how white it is, but I have a soul patch. But yeah, but I every once I every once in a while would go on and just kind of grow out this soul patch. So like, hey, soul patch, yeah, right. Soul facial ways of doing things, people. Um, but anyways, so but yeah, but you can't tell it's so white. Uh, so Danny is to go on and uh talk about uh his winning the show, and at some points he goes on and states that he thought that if he was to go on the show and say that he was going to win this show, lose this weight, and that him being on the show would have him turn around and think that he was going to lose it all and keep it all off, and then after the fact, yeah, we will come to find out, yeah, not the case. When he goes on and talks about how um, through these videos that he is X number of years separated from the show, and he is to be 300 pounds, or he is to be the same, if not more weight than he was on the show. And yeah, like, um, just because of these people not having time to get to these exercises, or just eventually uh, having these people go on and be like, okay, well, like Danny was going to say, it's like, well, yeah, like that he was gonna turn things around. So hopefully he goes on and decides to do that. Hopefully he has the time to do it. Hopefully um, he commits to that. I hope. Um, and I'm not saying that just because of his side. I'm just saying just because like good for him if he's deciding to do that. I wish the best for him. So because yeah, I watched that whole season. I was like, hopefully every single one of these people who win this show, uh, I hope that they can continue to to have or maintain or what. Yeah, like, but hey, like, uh happens. But I wish him all the best. God, that was such a like. Let's try to figure out a way to just dance through this. So they go on and they explain the whole stupid singing thing where they had to sing about them being fat and like or overweight. Because fat is probably a word that probably people hate hearing. But they go on and they kept saying that throughout the whole show. About the whole fat thing. It was just come on. So and also like Jolene, is am I saying that right? I don't think I'm saying that right. Joelle. My name is Joel, and then she has L. So Joelle, Joella. I'm gonna go with Gwen, her last name. Um, or Gwyn. Uh, my apologies to this person. I'm gonna go with yeah. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go with Gwen. Um, so Gwen is with an E. So Gwyn. So Gwyn, because I know I'm gonna butcher that name. So uh, let's get past this. So the reason why the executive producer comes up with the show is because he had got, and he comes back to this later on, uh, where he had found somebody trying to do this ad uh, because they were obese and they were looking for a trainer to save their life, and so David uh, had gone on to notice that ad and kind of got emotional by this person being so honest, and he was to see that and I was like, let's build a show on this. Like, yeah, this is definitely gonna be the idea of what we're gonna do next. And also when you kind of think about it, when you have to pitch shows, you honestly have to come up with a billion ideas. And because a lot of times when you're to try and sell a show to a network or whatever, you can't just have one. You have to have like, okay, well, like that's nice that that you have this fat show, but that's never going to work. What other ideas do you have? And so yeah, you have to have like 6 to 7 to 10 ideas to pitch and see which one hooks and which one works. So their focus was to go on and have a show where instead of going into plastic surgeries, as one of the other executive producer, JD Roth, goes on and explains this, uh, how instead of going on and this is where they talk about the scale as the main character, and Roth goes on to explain that they want to do it the old-fashioned way, like sweating with the oldies and any number of other things that they want to go on and show these people losing weight via exercising instead of surgery, uh, to then showcase that on a show. So, and David explains how like he was afraid that America wouldn't accept it, but eventually, when the first person goes onto the scale for the time that they film that show, and the first person is losing uh like 10 or so pounds, double digits, they're going like, we have a show here, all right. Like, so now we go on to uh Ryan. Ryan from season one, the guy who won season one, for those of you that do not know. Yeah. So yeah, I had seen multiple seasons of the show, so I'm sure definitively I'd seen the first season. Uh, but I I honestly don't remember Ryan. I don't. In my opinion, uh, I just don't want to come off as like feeling like I know the ins and outs of the show. I just there's that I forget. Um, but Ryan goes into his his casting tape of him being on this show, and he talks about how he secretly is an eater, and he goes to the donut shop. Like I can honestly uh know people that go on. I don't personally, but uh I see like Will Tennyson. Yeah, he's very fit and he's a very buff guy, but he goes to Will Hortons a lot or whatever that donut shop is. So yeah, I've seen people go on and do that. Like I've seen a lot of fitness influencers who go to the donut shop. That makes no sense to me. But yeah, but Ryan is to go on here and talk about how he secretly eats. It's like, yeah, like I'm sure a lot of us have that problem where, like me, every once in a while, like I have these days where I'm just like, I'm opening the fridge and I'm thinking that some magical food is going to be in it that I can just eat. And I open the fridge and then I close it. My hands are empty. And I'm like, why did I do that? Because I'm hungry. Um, but did I get anything out of the fridge? No, because I just didn't see what was in there that I wanted to take out of. Um, so yeah, it was, or also I was just I just wanted to just open the fridge just to close it, just so I could just bizarrely have um, that decision. Uh, Maybe I was tempted there. Anyways, they talk about Ryan at some point in this thing, and they talk about how he had gone on to do some commercials, been an actor, and that also uh, how when they first go to the show and how they blindfold them, and we also see the weird advertisement of this show where it's like, yeah, they all have one thing in common, they're all fat. It's like, could you just say overweight or obese or something? um like I probably should. And then they introduce the trainers, and then they show you all the crazy exercises that the trainers force the people into doing, because obviously it's for their good, for their own good. So here's where they go on to explain how the people were flying by the seat of their pants, and how like the producers, like Roth, was saying how like how aggressive Jillian was, and how like she wanted to cut their heads off. Like I remember specifically Jillian at one part of the show was happy when the contestants went on to get their makeovers, because she was stating how like, well yeah, like if you cut down their hair, like maybe that's another pound of hair or whatever that they didn't have before, and yeah, maybe that'll help them lose uh some kind of pound of weight when you get them on the scale. And I was like, yeah, that's hey, whatever you can kind of figure out a way to just through this makeover just kind of get them to be different on the scale. But also maybe that was for Jillian, that was probably a joke. Just to be like, man, this makeover, it's a waste of time. Um, but if anything, it gives them a new set of clothes for them to when they get eliminated. they can get on out of here with a new pair of slacks. Also, they go on and they talk about like how the contestants end up getting called from Jillian or Bob, and how one of the contestants goes on and says, "Yeah, Jillian said that she was gonna kick my ass," and blah blah blah. That was pretty fun. So they go on and they talk about Caroline, the first host, and they end up doing this horrible joke with her where they have her do stand up, and so she's doing this joke about how one of her friends had just had this baby and how she gained weight, and so Caroline's like, yeah, you better bet I took pictures alongside her. It's like, yeah, that's a little, come on. So so we go on here and they talk about their temptations, their shitty things that they had these contestants do. And so and also Ryan explains this how every day we came in and there were pies and uh, there were cakes and they had to do the stupid tower challenge. So you literally have to have all these people come in here and grab this food and make a tower out of it, but you can't have them use their hands. They have to either like you would think that if they can't use their hands that they would just use like their pits or like you could put it everything in between their legs and just do that and just make them look goofily walking around like that. But hey, like it's better than having these people put this in their mouths. So but they go on and they show the success stories. They go on and show the people who would go on to win the seasons or seemingly like bust through these things and show how thin they are, the transformations, and that was the real focus of the show. And here's where we have David, who's like, well, yeah, like you're gonna think of this show at first and think all these people are like, hey, they're losers, but then you'll be inspired by them about all their stories. So Ryan goes on to explain how, like, I don't know if this was in secret or not, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of people on the show who did even beyond what the 8 hours were to require them of doing. Uh, like Ryan was to go on and state how he would go on uh, for another hour and a half, and do cardio in the morning before the whole workouts even got started. Because when you think a lot of these guys, like they're like they can get up probably however early they want. So yeah, so I'm sure like these people are probably sneak like you would consistently see throughout the show at some points, like in the middle of the night or way early, you would see these people come in and just do even more exercises than they were supposed to. Danny goes on to state how at some point while he was in the show, how he had to do a certain number of calories, but he got to a point where he wasn't losing any weight. So he just started to just cut down on his calories, and then his weight he started losing more. And I'm like, God, so what would have happened if Danny would have kept on just cutting down his calories consistently because the weight changed? Like, would Danny have gone on and just ate nothing for a number of days just so that way he can lose X number of pounds? And like, I've gone on and I've fasted for 2 or 3 days, and yeah, like, I didn't really think about food during that entire time, but like after like the second or third day, um you probably just at least start to plan like, well, yeah, like as soon as I get up the next day, I'm gonna have a meal, and and like that'll just break the fast. And like you're not gonna have like a Thanksgiving stuff. You're just gonna have some kind of meal, just whatever's available. Um, yeah. Anyways, uh, but so Ryan goes on to explain the lengths of crazy diet, syrups and lemon. Like I know Jared Leto had gone on to have a diet where like he just had lemon and water. That's all he had. That's what he did to lose weight to get the award for the Dallas Buyers Club thing. Um, Matthew McConaughey just did sweating with the oldies. It seemed just sweated out until he freaking got thin enough. So uh, so Ryan goes on and states that he had been dehydrated so much so that there was blood in his pee, urine, yellow stuff. And I would go on to state, yeah, like there's some days where I wake up freaking dehydrated, and I take freaking Gatorlyte Rapid Rehydrate to just try to counteract that. So yeah, like it's not about exercise that you can just easily get dehydrated. I battle dehydration all the freaking time, and like there's no amount of water that you can drink. I drink water all the goddamn time, but still dehydrated all the time. Like it takes me drinking that Gatorade Light rapid rehydrate stuff to get me to be hydrated. Because my body doesn't work that way to just just down water all day and I'll just be it doesn't work that way. Plus also dehydration, it's water and electrolytes. So you need electrolytes and water together to be rehydrated. It's how things work, folks. So yeah, so more than likely Ryan didn't have a good combination of water and electrolytes, or probably had neither because he probably put nothing in his system. Who knows? Ryan, let me know in the comments below. Or don't. It's okay. It's cool. Um, cause yeah, I'm sure you suffered through a lot of just to win this show. So congrats, but god dang, man, like wow, that is some dedication. Wow. So but Bob comes in and he breaks it down. I was like, well, yeah, like of course, like everybody's obsessed with their looks and with their body, and when one of your friends is to come to find out they had lost a good amount of pounds, that person turns to that friend. It's like, well, hey, like how did you do it? Um, like tell me your story, tell me everything. And so yeah, so it makes sense. And so then here's where Bob ends up going into the whole name dropping thing. And he's like, yeah, I was in a class with Julia Roberts where during this time period, being in these classes were very cutthroat. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure, because like there isn't like it is now where you can just have a YouTube channel of fitness, and yeah, like everybody can be a fitness influencer, even me. Not really. But uh even though I like my fitness influence thing is like, yeah, just work at a retail job that's in a back room of a store for 10 years, and you'll get all the fitness experience that you'll ever need. Especially if you go to the wrong right one, in my opinion, which is to be working with appliances and all the heavy yeah, you'll get a lot of you get a lot of fitness experience from that. Believe me, more so than you ever want to. You're gonna have strength for the rest of your goddamn life. That you will just at the at the snap of a hand just somehow still have just resonated left somehow. Anyways, so Bob goes on and talks about Julia Roberts, and he liked her, she liked him, and the two of them kicked it off. And so uh, so Bob goes on and talks about how his experience was very much more rare with going and training obese people because of the level of people he would go on and train. So it was kind of learning curve for even Bob and Jillian, the two judges that originally started the show. I guess they didn't go for a specific judge. They probably or judge trainer. They just went for probably the ones that were probably the more popular ones of trainers or celebrity ones. Moving on. So uh, they go on and they talk about how Bob was on the Dr. Oz show and how Alec Baldwin is on the 30 Rock, and he's talking about how NBC is the Biggest Loser network. That was kind of funny. So, and then the producer goes on and talks about how they went from 500 people auditioning to thousands of people, and so uh, here is where we go on to have Danny. He goes on to talk about his audition tapes and how he gets kind of frustrated with doing all of them because he's like, yeah, this is getting nowhere. And like he went on to try to make some of the like tapes very funny as like funny it could be, and like he just kept trying and yeah, like no problem is there's so many people that auditioned for the show. Yeah, it just ended up having to be like that. Like you had to just be the lucky of people that they were to look into and find out and whatever and like and there had to just be some it factor about you for just shows in general. So yeah, so it's like unique is probably not a unique enough, and that's or not good enough, and that's just the sad thing that your thing had to just stand out good enough or pushed enough. But anyways, so Allison Sweeney comes in here. She ends up being the second uh, host of the show. Uh, so they had the first host, like they briefly mention her, but she's never on here. You never see her. They briefly glance over the fact that oh yeah, like we're gonna use a snippet of her piece of but yeah, she's not on here. They don't statement, no nothing, no, yeah, none of that. So I'm curious what happened to her. I hope she's okay. Whatever. Like I think I saw her eventually be doing other projects and other things, but I'm just like, why was she like not wanting to have anything to do with this show? I don't know. Uh, hope she's well though. But Allison Sweeney, uh, I know her. I think from soaps. If I haven't said so already, I'd go on to watch her on a soap opera thing, and I was like, oh, good for her. Just continue to get work. So uh, they go on and they bring up Allison here because she was a host that was tied to both Tracy and Danny's season, so they had to bring her up. But I liked Allison. I'm not saying that I was like, oh yeah, bring up that uh, that second host. I didn't care. If anything, I could like both of the hosts. Um, even though really they were in their cheerleading roles and whatever for the show. And there could be stuff that I didn't like about the show. Like obviously Allison brings up the whole like caffeine pills thing that she had to bring up to Jillian, and then she was like, and then she was shocked. She's like, God, that was so uncomfortable. Like, yeah. So uh here's where they bring in also Joelle here, Gwen. Um and as well as also da, 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 da. um oh, they bring up the whole like if you win um like the temptation things. So they would go on and they would have people be challenged uh to eat certain things to get certain challenges. And I remember Gwen's season because the girl that they show next, the girl in the pink, the blonde, like I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her. Like I think she ends up getting to be really late in the game. I think for that season from memory. Um, but I think she ended up being a runner up. She didn't win the show, win the season, but I think she's a runner up. Audrey. This seems to be a woman that is I have no idea. They end up saying that she is to be an author uh, and a co-host. Good for her. If anything, I honestly liked how um, she was to be very more brutally honest about the show, and especially when she kind of brings up uh, like the what the show was really trying to do, to just to be kind of condescending or whatever to the show. um and yeah, like she was putting the show in its place technically. Yeah. So uh and saying things that no one else was saying, and so it was like cool. Like Audrey, like yeah, like she was also to state how like kind of dealing with her weight, and kind of being very much in understanding of this. Yeah. So we could go on and just kind of see all kinds of things of range of just how she was going on, and like putting the show in its place, as well as also um finding at some points just uh approach to talk about the show. Whatever. Anyways, so uh she goes on, and Audrey states like, well, hey, yeah, you can go on and have this temptation where you have this candy bar or you have this pizza, but you will probably get weighed in by the end of the week. And yeah, so they did weigh people in by the week. So yeah, so it was a weekly show. Yeah, every episode was a week, because if you look at every show, like one episode is to be a week. So yeah, it's a week. But anyways, uh, so yeah, Audrey brings up the temptation about how awful that was. Well, like, well, yeah, if you just eat food, you can see your family again. And one of the contestants goes on, it's like, yeah, like if I can just eat something, I could just say to my family that I miss them. And it's like, wow. And here's where Bob goes on, and he is like, yeah, like these temptation things, yeah, it's stupid. Like candy, cake, cookies, pop, anything, all the things. And so Roth is like, well, yeah, like I can't say that 100% of the temptations we got right, but I can say that life is full of temptation. Yeah, like David goes on to explain, like, well, yeah, like you can pass by the cupcake by the refrigerator and whatever, and yeah, everyone could go on and be tempted. Like, I can open up my refrigerator and look into it and be tempted, but like, I'm not going to pull anything out of there half the time. And I'll just close the door and be like, well, that was a fun thing to do. Yeah, like that doesn't mean I'm going to pull something out of the fridge and uh and and eat it or make it or whatever. Um, no, like, but that was just uh, a thing that they were going on and tempting these people with, um, to go on and have Audrey that is going like, yeah, you can't trust uh, fat people with food, obviously. Uh, but so, anyways, we also have them show that both Bob and Jillian were watching uh, the contestants uh, kind of do their own day of exercising. And here's where Gwen chimes in here uh, through this, where uh, at where she mentions how like the show people, the cameraman and the people doing the show, they wanted her and her friend, I believe Carla. They wanted just to have them on these balance beams where obviously, yeah, uh, they didn't know how to use them, as well as also, uh, like obviously someone was going to get hurt doing it, and the show was just allowing that. It's like, oh yeah, just do this to look stupid, and they probably had a lot of people go on and go into the gym and like, hey, do this to look stupid, um, so that way, you can make a funny. And Bob and Jillian could be like, "What are you doing? Oh my God! Look at the out of control things that they're doing on the like, man, we can't go on and and have us take a day off because these contestants will just run wild in the gym." Yeah, these people did not go on in their own devices and make these decisions to make themselves look stupid. The show wanted to make them look stupid, and Gwen even mentions that. She's like, yeah, they wanted to make me look stupid. So I'm like, good for her for pointing that out. So they also go on. They talk about the camera shaking thing, the earthquake thing. That was stupid. Looking back on it, I didn't notice that. Um, and now having it pointed face to me, I'm like, oh, I guess, yeah, that is an earthquake stupid thing. I didn't notice that on the show before, but I guess I noticed it now. Um, I guess I would definitely need to go back and watch the show again to just see that occur, because it just I never in my brain it came up to me, or I never saw that part of the show. Um, yeah, so uh here's where we go on, and Bob and Jillian are pushing these people, and they're starting to pass out, they're starting to puke, and like Bob is like, yeah, like the people of the show, they wanted me to have all these people puke. Yeah, make them puke. Yeah. So Bob is like, yeah, he figured out that all these people in the show, they want the madness of it all, and that they love that. So so yeah, everybody puking, everybody getting injured, and uh, then Dr. Rob um, going on and just being like, "Hey, these people are getting freaking leg injuries," and uh, so Dr. Rob goes on and talks about how there's a lot of things that they did on the show that he had issue with. Uh, and as well, like there was a number of people who ended up getting injured on the show and had to be carted away. There was the Jenga episode, uh, where obviously, yeah, like you have people that go on and set this huge giant Jenga. Somebody's gonna get injured. Obviously, somebody's gonna trip and fall and hurt themselves. And like people stacking, yeah, like if the whole thing falls, it's gonna fall on somebody. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Yeah, like they did a line zip thing. Yeah, that's stupid. Um, any number of these extreme things that they had these people do just for enticing TV. So now we go on to do the whole mile thing. So Danny and Tracy talk about how like their first time on the show, and they get revealed that they're doing this smile. This smile, it's like, hey, you have to go on, you have to complete this smile to get on the show. If you don't, well, you're gonna get kicked off the show. So, but both Tracy and both Danny were just excited that uh, they were on the show, and also that Allison was right there in front of them, and they were like, "Oh my god!" Uh, like we're doing this, like this is incredible. So, they go on and they show all these people doing the best they can to make this smile, and we have Allison that is going on and saying like I saw her and it looked like she was okay, uh, and she was gonna make it, and then all of a sudden she collapsed. Uh, and she's talking about Tracy. Tracy was to go on and seemingly be well ahead of everybody, like, and Tracy was to go on and stay here. That like, well, hey, she has 4 kids. She knew that she could run a mile, but that mile was much longer than she thought it was. So Tracy goes on to collapse, and Danny was going on and thinking, well, like, hey, well, the right thing to do is to go on and go after her because we're a team here. We're all gonna get in. We're all gonna get on the show. So let's kind of go back for her. So they all go back to her. They go on to get her to the finish line, and then she collapses again, and like she loses consciousness. Tracy says that she doesn't remember much from that day. She is to go on and state that she knew that she died though, because at some point she I guess saw the pearly gates. She had saw a family member who had passed away. She thought she died, and probably she did for a minute there. So we now get Doctor H's story here, Robert's story here. So Robert goes on to state how he was a part of the OJ trial. This is the second episode. Robert is a fitness nut. Man, the picture that they show of him, ripped, freaking with the dumbbell in his hand. Yeah. Robert, yeah. Buff dude. Anyways, so uh, going on to work with the Rams and then going and releasing this book, putting together the movie Any Given Sunday, uh, on TV, shoulder to shoulder with Charlie Sheen. Uh, so, and eventually having, of course, uh, Robert here eventually going on into being a part of the Biggest Loser, and because they had asked him, it's like, well, hey, how do you think about like how we can get people to lose weight on the show? And he's like, well, yeah, you can have them lose X number of weight, but then eventually exercise can kind of tie into things because Robert would kind of relate football about how there were certain obese men on in the football team, and so yeah, so he related football to uh, them going on and doing a show like this. So back to Tracy. Tracy's to go on and talk about her rhabdo and being in the hospital, and how her and Robert both had this conversation um, about whether she would go on and continue to be on the show or not. And I think this is where um, Robert does go on and break down here. Um, and compares children to the contestants because he spent so much time with them. Yeah, like even pets. Like I recently just had my cat Autumn pass away. I had emotional response to that, and just yeah, like there was some kind of uncontrolled stuff about that um, that day, anyways. But yeah, I freaking like days after that, I was freaking yeah, I was lost for words and just freaking sad. As all. So, so Tracy, after going on and talking to Rob, and Tracy's like, "I'm gonna do the show," and he's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Like, she's like, "Yeah." She was so driven. She's like, "Yep, doing the show." So she goes back to the ranch, and she has to do it with limitations because she's talking to Rob, and so uh, Tracy had to figure out ways to lose weight on the show, even with her limitations. And as people were passing out on the show, like Danny, who's collapsing on the ground. Uh, so here is where Danny goes on to state how uh, numerous times over he had just started to lose a lot of weight on the show. Like freaking 24 pounds. Wow. Impressive. It's just wow. Yeah. I wish that I could have ever saw numbers like that. If anything, I lost like 5 pounds here, yeah, never 10 pounds in one day. But other than that, never nothing like that. But then again, maybe in a week, maybe if I counted all the numbers together, pounds of whatever, probably could have added up to 24 pounds. But anyways, but at one point Danny had only lost 4 pounds, and that's when he decided to cut down his calories, and then he started to lose more weight, and so they start to talk about on the show about how like the certain kind of foods and and losing the pounds and the money of it all like probably got to a lot of people and how like people needed to choose the right amount of foods really on the show, uh, so on and so forth. So we have Robert that is to go on and state that he really wanted to talk to the trainers and make sure that they were trying to put the right things forward in their training methods. But like Robert goes on to state that like Jillian, like for her, it went from one ear to the right to the other, just whatever. Like she wanted to do things her way, and so yeah. So you also talk about the caffeine pills, and so yeah. So come to find out, there had been a number of people who had gone on to take these certain caffeine pills, and some people would go on and say, yeah, if you take caffeine pills, then You could, of course, go on and die from them or have a heart attack, or if you use too much of them. Uh, but also, it seemed um, that people were abusing coffee. Also, like I was just kind of curious, like what exactly does the well, like they state that caffeine stunts your hunger. Um, but yeah, like reasonably, for me, like I had gone on to probably um consume a lot of soda in my life. I don't think when I had gone on to consume as much soda as I had, I don't think that stunted my hunger. But yeah, so I don't know if that goes on and works for everybody, but it probably didn't work for me. Um, but then again, maybe the caffeine that's in soda probably isn't half as much as in those pills or coffee. So we consistently see what the trainers are going through extreme measures uh, for and doing some extreme things to just consistently get these people uh, to keep going. Like Jillian is throwing buckets over contestants' heads to hydrate them, and Jillian is taking a God, what is this? Um, I I've used one of these, but I don't know what exactly they're called. Um, they're rubber straps that you go on and you take them and you use them to just kind of like use them to their flexibility or their to kind of work certain muscles. Uh, Depending on how strong they are, yeah, you can definitively use them as like bicep curls and forearm curls and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so Jillian ties this around one of the contestants, who I remember this girl, and I was rooting for her actually to win her season, but she didn't, sadly. Um, but I really liked her, I really did. And yeah, like just pulling her from the treadmill. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a bit of extreme. Um, but anyways, we push on here, and so Allison goes on to state, like, well, yeah, uh, like the whole reason that they push these people were so hard is like, well, look, uh, like you did it, you pushed, you like, and you continued on. So yeah, so it's like they're hoping to just have these people drop dead. So it's like, well, like, I guess they just weren't passionate enough about doing the show, like Audrey says, that it's like, well, hey, if the people just don't go on and they don't push themselves hard enough, that they're not passionate enough about weight loss. That's that's the truth, but it just like that statement is just ugh. So so Jillian goes on and screams as a guy passes out on the treadmill and falls off because he's like, I'm gonna pass out. Yeah. So that looks like a very healthy show for you. So it just does. So they go on further to talk about Tracy and her being on the show after uh, after also talking to Robert and and how Tracy really had to come up with creative ways of sticking on the show, even though she is to have um, issues like trying to, because Rhabdo and whatever she had to kind of bounce back from, and it wasn't that easy. So we have one point where Tracy loses 11 pounds, and Bob is almost just like, ah, and then he's like, nah. And so Tracy is just kind of upset about how the trainers didn't clap for her. It's like, well, like yeah, so yeah, just bring that. So we have uh both Hannah and Olivia's story here. And so Olivia, it seems, was an opera singer, which I'm like, oh, that's cool. And to hear, yeah, that maybe I'm sure they probably brought this up during the show and over my head. Uh, for some reason, I remember these girls, but like, I this probably was the season of like the best friends season, uh, or the because there was best friend seasons, there was like sibling seasons, there's all kinds of seasons from memory, because there were so many freaking seasons of the show. Um, there was couples seasons, yeah, like the wife and husband and whatever kind of seasons. Yeah, that they had those. Um, so Olivia goes on and says how she was an opera singer, and it seems that they had gone on to have somebody pushing her to be at a size 8 at a certain point, so she had to lose weight to try to get to that size. Uh, they Hannah, the other girl, Hannah goes on and talks about how she was an athlete, and she talked about dating. And when the both of them, Olivia and Hannah, were talking about getting on the Biggest Loser show, they're like, ugh, like the show where they put uh, wheelbarrows on people. Yeah, no. But they went on and they did it. They decided to do it, and good for them. So uh, we have one of the contestants who went on the show so that way she could logically get married, um, and have a baby, and yeah, we get into the whole that. Here's where we go on and we show that the trainers are trying to force tears out of people, and and it's garbage. Um, Audrey goes on to state that like, yeah, they had to force people into doing things that they honestly weren't qualified for, like the trainers that were trying to get these contestants to be emotional, uh, and to try to pluck at these strings to just make these contestants cry on cue for this effing show. And yeah, so uh, yeah, that was kind of awful. So now they focus on Jolene uh, here, or Joellen. My actual name is Joel. I go by my dad's name. Um, so I'm Junior. Um, but yeah, but like, uh, I just put the name San on here just because it was a fun name for me. There's a whole Easter egg of why I say that name on here. Because there was another name before that that was a whole supernatural thing. This name is now a supernatural thing, so that's why I'm San instead of actually my biological name, which is Joel. Um, but if anything, I go by a nickname. So like even like the name of which, yeah. So there's a bunch of just stuff, um, that I don't normally go by that name, but most of the time I do just because. Anyways, let's talk about Gwen here. So, uh, here's where we go on. We have Bob exploded Gwen about the whole treadmill thing and that they're on there for 30 seconds, and Bob explodes. Jillian is like, "Wow, Bob is explode. I've never seen that before." And yeah, so you get to hear Bob's side, you get to hear Gwen's side. They hate one another, and Gwen doesn't state how she had bruises all over her leg. Yeah, so they end up also kind of briefly talking about Carla, uh, Gwen's partner in this. So uh, and talk about how like Bob is like, well, yeah, I liked her partner, but I just didn't like her. It's like whatever. Like oh well, like sadly enough, when um they didn't like Gwen, they kind of got rid of both of them. Sadly, so because it was a package deal, so they eliminated them. Sadly, and so more back to Tracy and Danny here because there's only so many people that they got contestants from the show. So we go on and we talk about how Tracy had gotten eliminated from the show. Um, Once she had gone on to lose 3 pounds and everyone had voted her off, every single person it seemed had voted her off. She went on a helicopter and had made her way home. She didn't want to be on the helicopter. She liked how everybody else, when they left, they got their own uh, certain kind of exits, and she liked those exits. But she got on a helicopter and went her way home, then find her friends and family there, and come to find out that is the last family somewhat photo or thing that she has of her whole family together. Because sadly her marriage didn't work out. Sorry, Tracy. Hope you're well. Like hopefully, yeah, hopefully she's well. Hopefully she's well, as well as her family. But anyways, it's kind of weird to say, but you know what I mean. Freaking, come on. So, so Hannah is to lose 120 pounds. Good for her. Uh, and then Olivia is to lose 129 pounds. Again, good for these people. Good that they did the show. Uh, and they go on and they talk about how they had gone on to be covers uh, on a magazine and that no one has gone on to have had that be done before. Um, so good for them. They gone on to do fitness classes and stuff like that. So yeah, so they were on the fitness magazine and they're the only uh, like they were the only non-celebrity, non-whatever. Yeah, good for them. I keep saying that, but still. So they talk about how the challenges in the show had to just get more elaborate, more crazy, more wild, and then they had to introduce kid obesity and how they had to change up every season to have some goofy, crappy ideas where Jillian and Bob and whoever that other trainer is, I don't remember who that. No offense, like the later seasons, I don't remember who that guy was because he was into like I I honestly didn't like the later trainers, in my opinion, because they weren't good enough. Not because I didn't like who they were as people. I just was looking at Bob and Jillian, and they were the really good trainers, and then the ones that they came in later were forgettable. Um, there were ones that sucked at what they did a lot of the times, or a lot of times they wouldn't be winning the show. Because more often Jillian won a lot more seasons than any of the other trainers did. Uh, but I Bob won some seasons, so I will say that. But anyways, so Bob is to make fun of the fact that they had branched out a bunch of other crap. With well, not a bunch of crap. It was good that they did like Biggest Loser in other countries, but like here's the advertisement bullshit that they did with the I think the shake and uh dumbbells. That was stupid. Uh, the video game thing. eh, I on like uh I don't remember what I had when I had a Nintendo Wii. Like I gave my Wii to my sister and never saw it again. So probably shouldn't have given that up. But maybe I think maybe I got money out of that. Yeah, maybe she paid me money for it, so I don't think that was much of a loss because I didn't really use it anyways. Just because I quickly realized how crappy Nintendo Wii games were, and I only had so many Nintendo Wii games anyways, so it's not much of a loss. Uh, but anyway, so yeah, so here's where they get into the controversial that they go on and talk about is so the Biggest Loser is one of the most harmful reality shows on television. Uh, Biggest Loser under inquiry by Los Angeles Sheriff's Department of drug allegations. It's a miracle no one has died yet. The Biggest Loser returns despite uh, critics' warnings. Yeah, so here's the thing on the show. There was some accusations about the caffeine pills. Obviously, we have to bring that up again. I don't think they state that here, but like they also talked about how certain contestants may have somehow gotten dietary pills, but they state that there is no um, real evidence of that occurring. So that's what they're talking about the whole drug thing. So here's where we get Mendoza here, um, or Mendonca, Susanna Mendonca. Anyways, I like Suzanne. I liked her here. Um, like not only was she to have like these really interesting just audition tapes. What a confident woman. But then also she was to go on and really talk about how she hated the show after the fact. Also, there was a number, like I think Gwen and her, uh, they ended up asking them if they would ever go on and do the show again, and they're like, no. Like, I don't think that either one of them would agree to do the show again. If knowing what they know now, would they go back to the show? Um, if you know what, I'm sure if a lot of people did go back to the show, they would probably win the show because they would know what to do compared to everyone else. Um, but anyways, so they go into Suzanne's life about how she had gone on to be in the police academy. She was in Ground Zero during 9/11. Appreciate her doing that. Appreciate it. So, talking about her life, photos with whoever this guy is, her significant other. I don't know. Um, big props to significant other, whoever that person is. I'm sure it was whatever that picture. Um, so uh, so we go on here and we have uh Tracy who's going on Jay Leno's, and come to find out people are trying to brace her for the fact that she, I guess, wasn't well liked on the show. I don't get that whatsoever. So Jay Leno brings up on the show that she's on that she's pure evil and that she's this and that, and they hope that she die. And so Tracy responds to all that, and I'm like, I wouldn't have given it any goddamn response. I would have just been like, well, okay, you have your opinion. Like, if anything, I would just be like, well, hey, thanks for taking the time to thinking to me, but like, you're thinking of me in a very negative light. Oh well, all right, then. Just move on with this nonsense. So, uh, so Tracy also goes on and shares her old pants with a guy who is on the show Celebrity Fit Club, and I don't know if he won the show, but I think it was really in the round like the later rounds of that show. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see him have to put on the pair of pants and have them have a bit of fun here. So Jen Kearns, this doctor here, this was sad. This was like her story is of how she's to get on the show, and then she ends up becoming like working alongside. Robert on the show, the doctor. Like man. So Jen goes on and talks about how she had been kind of doing the studies, and somebody had made a comment, um, because Jen had been doing the studies where people were going on and doing this sex act, and it was a beast person having a sex act. I don't know why she was doing this study thing. Like when she started talking about this, like I was like, I really want to tune out here, but like I don't, and plus because I didn't really want to re-explain it when it got to the review. So, but I'm trying to explain Jen's story here. So she's going on and in this class, and it's about a certain kind of study, and when it got to an obese person, someone in the crowd didn't like uh, this, uh, and Jen kind of overheard this and got disgusted by it, and so she wanted to turn her life around, and she wanted to be a part of the Biggest Loser show. So Jen ended up going on to the show. She ended up doing well and turned her life around. Good for her. She is to show a picture of her old dress and is to show what she looks like now. Good for her. So, as I keep having to say that a bajillion times, but I'm proud of these people that did these things, regardless of how not all of them are to have continued on the success of or maintaining or whatever. Uh, they did this. Like, give them credit for that at least. So, uh, now they start to say we're Biggest Loser started to become a butt of the joke. Jimmy Kimmel Live is going on and making jokes about the people, the Biggest Loser, la la la. So, talk about how people are going over freaking the window and barfing and ralphing. Yeah, it's really exciting. Uh, Danny's going on and having a whole cheer squad cheering him at his hometown school, losing 239 pounds. Good for him. Yeah, I keep saying that. I'm sure it's annoying by now. So here's the thing. So Danny goes on, and this is the thing that really gets to me because it bugs me. For the whole kind of negative side of how this works out. So Danny goes on and he's on the Biggest Loser show. He loses a ton of weight and he has some excess skin. So, in all honesty, like a lot of people have gone through losing a lot of weight but have a lot of excess skin. And you mean to tell me that Danny goes on and goes through this show and has this procedure done on him for absolutely free because the show is doing that, and he turns around and basically ruins it. But enough time has passed between the time when the show, but still, just it. What? Anyways, just throw it away. Um, I'm just kind of upset by that. But anyways, so Uh, but Danny goes on to explain about how much time has passed since he'd been on the show, and he is now at 300 pounds, and then goes on to talk about how he had to have enough, had more weight than when he was on the show. So they are doing a study about how certain people who had been on the show who had either gained all the weight back or have four people be even heavier than they were on the show. And then eventually they'll talk about how like the metabolism of the people going on this show may go on and uh, be ruined. And that even gets Dr. Robert even more upset because he's like, well, hey, did I just hurt all X number of contestants upon this show and I didn't even know it? And so we then end up having this other doctor come in, uh, which name is very hard to pronounce, so I'm gonna not even try here. He's a physician and writer of the New Yorker. And so he goes on and states how there's like 14 studies here, but yeah, there's nothing to really be concrete to just back this whole thing up. But he goes into depth about it more so than I will. So, but yeah, I'm sure for any number of these people, like Susanna, she mentions how like as soon as she left the show, like she gained like 20 pounds after she left the show because yeah, like it's so easy to just go back into old habits once you're done with the show. And yeah, so but anyways, so we would go on here to have Susanna, who's to talk about how she left the show. She immediately gained 20 pounds, but then she'd gone on to go rollerblading and and like almost like not eat anything. And like she asked her significant other like if she had changed through the course of being on the show. Yeah, so uh so we go on here, and Gwen and Susanna are to go on and go to the news, and there ends up biggest loser ever drugged me. So we have this New Yorker post where Gwen is on the cover, and she honestly didn't like how that turned out, and the whole story, even though it's her story. So she ended up doing a reveal all about the show, and it says how new shock revelation behind show. Yeah. So and they go on and talk about how they only had 800 calories a day and this and that. So uh so we go on and find out because of these people probably going on and taking way too many of these drugs, as well as probably also diuretics and a number of things. Uh, like if you go on and if you are to know about the fitness industry, at some points you will go on and find out that there are people that take dietary drugs and all kinds of things to try to get thinner. What some of these people can go on and die by all the that they take quite easily. Um, yeah, or uh, to try to suppress their hunger pains or whatever. Yeah, like people could probably just die from any number of those things. So, yeah, so like just to just diet the normal way by just cutting out your food. And yeah, I get it that you get hungry, but just don't go through the diet drug route. Come on, people. That's the big thing coming out of this. So, uh, we go on to have them still bring up the stupid caffeine thing. They just gotta keep bringing that up. Um, and also, Bob is going and talking to some executives about the show, and there's a lot of people kind of putting their 2 cents about is this makeover too extreme? Uh, yeah, there's just a lot of this. Let's move on here. Um, Here's where Allison has to confront Jillian about the caffeine pills. They have to keep bringing this up. So here's Rachel coming in here. So Rachel is to come in and be the shocker of weight loss. And as she comes out, Bob and Jillian are clapping, but then they're like, ah, yeah. And that transformation kills the show. Jillian is to go on and state after she had seen Rachel come out there, she's like, I want nothing to do with the show anymore. I'm profiting off a show. Yeah, like that. No, like so. Jillian freaking was dumbzo after that season. Larry King talks to Bob about The Biggest Loser, and Bob was like, yeah, the show is definitely taking a hiatus at this point because of just uh like stuff where it's like Rachel is going on being too thin. So they're leaving. They're going to the show unhealthy and they're leaving unhealthy. So this show is not good for people, regardless of the tools that is to help them live a happier, healthier, hopefully happier life for some. But um, but yeah, but just like it's some of this stuff was just like that's why I stopped watching the show because it just yeah, these people by the end of it they looked great, but uh like they had to go 8 hours just working out every day and also uh they had to go on and be on a show where they're just pushed to no end. To her good enough wasn't good enough. So uh here's where we go on. We have Bob talking about the heart attack, and he goes on a show and mentions how like there's people that reached out to him after he had a heart attack, but Jillian didn't, sadly enough. So you know, I hope that no one confronts Jillian about this because it's like, come on, it just like whatever. Like, so really, I hope that this is the last. Yeah, we're at the last bit of thing here to wrap this bad boy up. So, uh, so Tracy and Robert uh went on and did a marathon together. Good for them. Like, yeah, they're the seems like they're really good friends and good that they've kept that relationship past this show. And like Tracy goes on and talks about the 90 where her husband had given her that was two sizes small. Yeah, like uh so I guess that is a go on, and they also talk about Ozempic now, like the weight loss drug, whatever. Uh People can also lose weight naturally, but like I guess Ozempic is to just be a diet suppressor. I don't know. I'm not on it. I don't want to know about it because why? Um, but I get it. Everybody has different ways of losing weight here. I'm not gonna if people use Ozempic, that's their choice. I'm not gonna shame anyone for going on. That's just not the route I want to take or have taken. So and I'm not saying that I'm better for not taking it. I don't care if people want to. If people feel the need that they need to take an Ozempic, then that's their choice, and no shade or shame on them for using that. I didn't. So um, with that, yeah. That's all I want to say about that because I'm getting effing exhausted, anyways. Um, Plus, it's about that 10th hour, anyways. So they go on and they continue to just show the same clips of the goddamn thing that they already showed before with the women and the fitness cover, and they just keep going back to the same old clips within this thing to just rehash things. Danny ends up talking about his family, and I thought that was cool how like he showcased his family in this thing, and how I think Olivia here talks about how she had a baby after this show. Um, Tracy used to have pictures of her family when she was to move on to. Oh yeah, so yeah, she had gone on to find somebody else and made a blended family. That's what she said. So happy, I'm assuming happy. Yeah. So uh, by the end of this, they go on. They blatantly have to point out that Jillian want nothing to do with this documentary. Who gives a like Jillian just goes on and says in the very first season of the show that she's a millionaire because of so in my opinion, Jillian is probably looking at the show in her rearview mirror to never talk about it again. Like I'm not seeing Jillian going on and and doing interviews specifically about this show unless I just haven't seen them. But she did do that interview that they showed on here where she talked about how like she wanted nothing to do with this show at a certain point. And so yeah, so maybe Jillian wants nothing to do with this show. And why can't you just allow her that that privacy or that distance away from this? Um, like I thought, I guess a lot of people would have probably have gone on and probably have asked, like, well, hey, why wasn't Jillian on this thing? Like, why couldn't she have like had a counter to what Bob is going on to say? Because yeah, Jillian cut ties from this a long time ago, so why would she want to join this thing, uh, which is just to remind her of something that she left far behind? So yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here so I can get this uploaded, and it's also freaking 2 hours long, anyways. This is way longer than probably the documentary. I don't really care. I'm just gonna do it a video and whatever. People can watch this however they want to. It just got to a point where later and later this goes. I just wanted to fast track to just kind of get this done. But anyways, thank you for going on and listening to this, watching this, and slurping it down. I don't know. But if anything, like I would like to hope that for some reason I can justify going into some fitness shows. And I don't want to make this just a fitness channel, but like I from time to time want to watch a fitness show or something. If people want to have uh, me talk about more fitness content, I would love to do it. Fitness uh, shows and movies and such like. Uh, there's stuff where I talked about like the Nutty Professor and that movie, and how is to go on and talk about just a wide variety of just kind of fitness like movies. Like Southpaw, I feel is a movie that I think goes into more of like the fitness of boxing rather than just the boxing and the heartbreaking story of Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And I think that there's just a lot of fitness movies that I probably should have gone on and done, but I was just so um, much hesitant about doing them to think like, okay, well, if these movies and that movies don't do well, then I'm sure this movie I would like to actually do is not going to do well. I would actually like to do Pumping Iron. That could be a Pumping Iron. Pumping Iron could be really fun to go into because I actually like Arnold and Lou Ferrigno's and the people at that time who had gone on and done that movie. And there's also some things that I got from that through other means of when Arnold would talk about how babies drink milk and men should drink beer and yeah. But anyways, uh, any other fitness stuff in my opinion? Like yeah, I think there's a lot more fitness shows than there is probably fitness movies. Like Pain and Gains, and like that's the only thing that kind of comes to mind of like real fitness. Um, Maybe I could be wrong about that. I hope I'd be wrong. Maybe somebody can listen the comments below some fitness films and I'll check them out. I know that there was the one anime called How Heavy is a Dumbbell That You Lift, I think is that anime. Um, and I watched that whole thing and I enjoyed it, even though it's very some goofy ideas there. I don't think I can get away with covering an anime like that, and anyone will give a shit about it. Because I think when I did that anime before, no one gave a shit about it then. So, with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here, so I can give a shit about going to sleep or maybe doing some Timo grinding and then calling it a freaking day. So, thank you for watching this. Thank you for the Biggest Loser show existing so I can go on and talk about this documentary, I guess. Um, but also, I hope to one day justify watching the Biggest Loser shows and just reminiscing about my time watching them. But then again, I'll just find disgusting, just like I hate this show. And that'll be a point when I just like, yeah, why did I watch this show? So thank you for going on and uh and watching this. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.